in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen. The cut.
Just to recap, Klaus Schwab and his World Economic Forum, made up of the 1,000 richest companies in the world, the Googles, the Amazons, the big tech, the big pharmaceutical companies, etc. They signed a strategic partnership with the United Nations in order to usher in their Agenda 2030 and of course the World Economic Forum's Great Reset, which looks to change everything we do and the economic structure of society, bring in cashless society, bring in a universal basic income, a world where you own nothing but will be happy, where you might get a microchip to buy and sell, a digital health passport and more, and have openly stated they are exploiting the current pandemic to bring all of this in. And so yesterday, Klaus appeared on Euronews for his latest interview.
Now, Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, believes a global reset is possible, and he's published a book about just that. And he joins me now. Hello there to you. Many thanks for joining us on the Global Conversation.
I have a plan.
Now, I wonder, what is Klaus going to talk to us about? Is he going to talk about his favourite flavour ice cream, what football team he supports, or is he going to talk about resetting the world again?
Now, when you look at the state of the world right now, what's the first word that springs to your mind?
The word reset, I think, is appropriate because...
Reset. Now there's a shocker. The word reset springs to mind. Didn't take long.
We are now still fighting the virus, but we can be rather optimistic after what we have seen with the announcement of vaccines. Now we have to think how to structure, how to design the post-corona era. And here, of course, the word reset comes to my mind, because one thing is clear: we cannot come back to the old normal. We have to use this opportunity, as our parents and grandparents have done after the World War II, to really reflect on what went wrong and what could we do better.
Now, who the feck elected this guy to be the ruler of the world, to be orchestrating the resetting of the world that nobody asked for? Who elected him? Who is he speaking for? He says we. Who is we? He's not speaking for me, and he's not speaking for you, and I don't want him speaking for me. I don't know who he is. His family history is a mystery. All we know is that his dad, his father, had been managing director for a Swiss engineering company, Escher Wyss, who continued operating in Germany throughout World War II. But his father has no name, and the company's records that the father worked at seem to have been wiped. That's not suspicious at all, is it? When he says we, I'm thinking he's talking about the 1% of the richest people in the world that make up his 1,000 richest businesses that make up the World Economic Forum's partners.
What is your priority when you would, if you could, initiate this reset?
You hear that? She says, when you would, if you could. Which is it, would or could?
Your priority when you would, if you could, initiate this reset?
I think there are three dimensions, three priorities. The first one is to make the world more resilient, because we definitively will have to face other surprises, black swans, as they are called, maybe different kinds of viruses.
Oh, this guy is a real bundle of joy. So we are definitely going to be facing black swans and a different kind of virus. Definitely going to be facing that. A black swan, by the way, is a metaphor that describes an event that comes as a surprise, has a major effect, and is usually something bad, which the World Economic Forum has pages about on their website, devoted to like cyber attacks, food shortages, and all other kinds of disasters. This guy is a little bundle of joy, isn't he?
Second, we have to make the world more inclusive, fair, because we have seen that we have reached unsustainable degrees of levels of people who felt excluded.
There's a lot of people in lockdown at the moment who feel excluded. not being able to visit their family, not being able to visit someone sick in hospital, not being able to open their business. That's if they have a business anymore.
And finally, we have to make the world much greener. We finally have to put all our energy behind the decarbonization in order to avoid a major catastrophe in the future, of which we have, by the way, the first signs today.
Again, it's all we this, we that. Nobody voted for this guy, and nobody would. Who would trust this guy? He comes across like a James Bond megalomaniac villain.
Sadly, we do. Well, Professor, we're going to just touch on some of those issues you've raised.
Okay, let's fast forward all this waffle, blah, blah, blah. Everything is independent on a global level. We need a systematic approach. I want a one world government, blah, blah, blah.
Approach. We've got a bit of a problem then when it comes to COVAX, for example. While the EU was quickly to back this, we have players like the US, Russia. They're not on board.
We may see the US also joining in the future. I think...
We may see the US joining in the future. You see, obviously he wants Biden to get in there. Biden is definitely on board with all of this great reset. And more waffle, more we this, we that, we must make sure the world is not unfair, yap, yap, yap.
And obviously you are a champion of multilateralism, a multi-stakeholder society. With the departure of Donald Trump, as we were just talking about, do you see this now injecting new momentum in...
Injecting, nice choice of words there.
Injecting new momentum into a multilateral system, a global multilateral system. And would we return to the traditional multilateralism, do you think? Or is the world on a new path?
When they say multilateralism, they are talking about a one world government, basically, all countries working together.
I think also here we need a reset. We cannot go back to the system of multilateralism which we have established after World War II. What we need...
We have to do this, we have to do that. We cannot go back to the old way. This is not going to happen. Who is this guy? Who elected him to tell us all what to do?
What we need is a reform of the international system. Just think of the WTO. We have to integrate the new dimensions of global trade, like everything which has to do with e-commerce and so on. So definitively, multilateralism will get a boost by the election of President Biden.
He loves Biden. This is a big thing for them to get that Biden in.
And I'm very hopeful that we can now create the necessary systems which we need for the 21st century.